Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Our next guest can be seen on Showtime's The Shy playing Drake. Earlier this year, she released her latest EP, Alter Ego. Please help me welcome back to the show the very talented Miriam A. Hyman. Welcome to the show.
Hey man, how you feeling? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Look, definitely a lot has changed since the last time you were on the show. Congratulations on
Yes,
all your
for sure.
success.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Before we get into The Shy and get into the music, new music, let's talk about what's going on in this country. You know, we're in this global pandemic with on a virus, and then we have the other pandemic, which is racial justice and unrest. How have you been doing in 2020? 2020 has been a crazy year. I know it's been good for you with the show and everything, but in terms on a personal, how's it been?
I mean, 2020 it's been really interesting. There's been a lot of highs, there's been a lot of lows that have been happening like throughout the course of, I'd say probably like the last 6 months. Like, I can't even believe it's September. Like, fall is here,
Right,
it's bizarre. But I've just been really trying to be as optimistic as possible. It's been a challenging time. The climate has really adjusted in a lot of ways. And hopefully, more for the good than, for the bad. But just during this time, I mean, it's, of course, having the Shy come out.
Yeah.
Just take any kind of energy that I've had that has been like super positive. And I've just been, just trying to invest in myself more and more, creating different projects, collaborating with other artists, and really just trying to take it, any energy that has been happening from like me watching the news or encounters with people on the street, because like you said, there's all this unrest. I just take all that negative and I just make it positive as much as possible, so that's how I've been keeping up, man.
I definitely feel you.
It's been crazy, but yeah.
Well, again, it has been a good year for you with The Shy coming out season 3. You joined the cast playing Drake.
Indeed.
How did it all go down? How did you get involved?
Basically, my representatives have reached out to me with the script. I thought it was like super cool. I immediately connected with the character, and I'm in Cuba, really dope casting office in Los Angeles. Whether, they had me read like several scenes from the show, and then I was able to be called back, and then that process just kind of like started back over again. But yeah, it was really dope, and then I worked on The Shy for 5 months, and season 3, it was very successful. So on to the next.
It was. Yeah, it was, and congratulations, you already got picked up season 4, so that's amazing. But I know I heard in the interview that you said how important this role is and the diversity on this show. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, representation matters, and it matters in a lot of regards. And so, we need to see people that resemble us more and more. And that's from hair texture to skin color, to how people identify in terms of, you know what I mean? Just like sexuality and gender and what are their preferences and so on and so forth. So we just need to have more of, I like to say, us. We are not just one thing. And so I think we just need to have more variety on television, as a whole. And so I think The Shy is a huge, collaborator in this process, because they just show so many different options, that we don't really get a chance to see on a day-to-day. And like, for instance, in terms of just showing Black love, we see that with different age groups on The Shy. We see that, where we have two women that are in a couple, and then we also have, sexual couples. Like, we just have a lot of variety. And so I don't really think you get that with a lot of shows that really highlight brown and Black talent specifically. And The Shy does that in a great way. So I'm just really thrilled to be a part of that, and to be a part of representation mattering and being able to represent for the LGBTQIA community. And just also just, you know, as a Black woman, you know.
Right. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So you said you were on there working on it for 5 months. You shooting season 3. How was that
Yeah.
experience for you overall? How was it?
Well,
Because
you know, it
I
was
saw that you
pretty.
said in the interview that this was already a hit show with solid characters, and then you get to come in and add what you bring to it. So how was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was really exciting because, first of all, I just really have like an ensemble mentality. I come from a
Mm-hmm.
theater background, so I'm used to
Yeah.
just collaborating, you know, with other artists, and that's from the actors to the designers, you know, the costume
Mm-hmm.
designers, like just working with other people. And so for this, it was like, wow, okay, you know, this is already a well-oiled machine.
Right.
So come on, Miriam, what are you gonna bring to it?
Let's
You know,
do it. Yeah.
but yeah, the character I think was written so well that I was able to just kind of really jump into her shoes because, as I said, the show was already well oiled.
Mm-hmm.
There were many people that, like myself, were new and that were introduced, but there was already a team that was, you know, in
Right.
play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like not even coming off the bench, you know, it's literally like coming into a, like
Right.
being traded, and you come
Yeah.
in, you know,
Yeah.
you're working with a new team, and you have to start playing that night, you know. So
Most definitely.
I had to get in gear pretty quickly, but the level of
Mm-hmm.
professionalism that I was walking into, I mean, it just it made my experience easier, you know, in that way.
Good.
Everyone was really
Good.
welcoming and people were ready to work. And I have that energy too, you know. I'm ready to
Yeah.
I'm ready to get this work done and get this coin.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, but
Exactly.
it yeah.
How was it working with Lena?
I mean, it's been great. Like we haven't actually physically, you know, worked together, you know,
Okay.
during the show because
Okay.
her track was different from mine, so we didn't like actually
Mm.
connect in any way. But she's been
Okay.
super supportive, you know, like behind the
Good.
scenes, and was
Mm.
just really involved in terms of my process, you know, like how I was dressing, you know, how my hair was done, you know, for the show. Like it was really a conversation, you know, which was great, because it's not always
Yeah.
like that. But I think because, you know, I was coming in to the role and playing a really important part of the family, you know, coming in as a
Mm-hmm.
co-leader with Nina, you know, played by Tyler Abercrombie. And,
Yeah.
you know, she's already raising these two, you know,
The
children here,
two
these two
kids.
young people. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's like I'm not a parent and I've never been a step parent. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. You know, I
Something
really felt like
new.
I was
Something
getting
new.
thrown into it. It was
Yeah.
totally new, you know. I'm not married, you know, so that was just, it was like, wow, okay. It taught me a lot, you know, throughout the season because it was really, there were some challenging experiences, you know, that
Yeah.
Dre and Nina, I mean, so many characters were going through, but you
Right.
know, specifically within our relationship. And I'm like, wow, you know, it's real when you say those vows, you know, till death
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
part, and I'm gonna be here, you know, worse or for poor, you know, better or richer, you know, it's just like, wow,
Yeah.
this is real.
It's real, real life.
Yeah,
So let me
it
ask
got real.
you.
Yeah.
So you played Dre, and personality wise, how are you alike and how are you different?
We're similar, I think, in a lot of ways. You know, we're Black women off the bat.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think both really grounded character, you know, individuals. You know, Dre as a character, I think she's written to be very unapologetic. You know, she's just
Hmm.
speaks her mind. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
as frank, you know, as her.
All right.
I don't know if I'm as brave at, you know, at
Mm,
Dre too. Like it's interesting because, you know, when you play these characters, it allows you to do things that you in your normal life would not
right.
do.
Exactly.
And so,
Exactly. Yeah.
you know, like for instance, in episode 2, when I go into the tent city and I
Mm.
go up against Ronnie and these other guys, it's like, Miriam would never do that. Are you kidding
You
me?
said you ain't doing all
Hell to
that.
the no. Yeah, but this particular character, you know, is just so rooted in who she is, that she's she's fearless. And so, yeah, you know, I just respect her a lot. I think another way in which we're really similar is that I think she has a big heart. I have a big heart, you know, and I'm really faithful, you know, with my partner almost 5 years now. And so it's just like,
congratulations.
Yeah, you know, thank you so much. Yeah. So I love to love, you know, and I think Dre does that as well. And we don't know what kind of home Dre has come, you know, from, but I would imagine that there's some broken pieces there, you know, that she's trying to put herself back together, you know, like with this particular relationship and being able to love these kids and be a part of their lives. So yeah, I mean, I think we have a lot of similarities.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's great. Was anything about the character that kind of not make like kind of stand off from it, but something you had to kind of like adjust to? Like, I know you said that maybe she's more, you know, blunt and you're not as blunt. Was there anything else that you had to adjust to playing this
definitely
role?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for instance, you know, it was never really completely clear to me the relationship between myself and between Dre and Keisha, and why, you know, Keisha was not particularly fond, you know, of Dre. But I just had to, because that's how it was written, I just had to go with it. And so, you know, myself and Burgundy, who plays Keisha, we had a great time shooting. You know, we have a really lovely, you know, friendship. So and we met, you know, we met during the show. So like I didn't know her prior or anything like that, but we just bonded a lot, you know, during the process. And she's super cool, you know. So to have to be parental, you know, and an authoritative, you know, towards her, and I didn't really know why she didn't like me, and she didn't really know, you know. We just had to kind of come up with some backstory. But but again, you know, it's like this is what it is, and this is where the story is, and so we have to meet it where it is, and, you know, continue the journey along. So it was moments like that when it was like, wow, you know, there's this tension that's here, but she's super cool. There's no need
but really
to
not there,
have
but it's there for
it's not really there. But you know, when it's time to communicate the truth of the text and to just breathe and believe in this story, and so we're no longer acting, we're just living. You know, that was challenging, but it was challenging in the best way possible, you know, because it really helps you to work your muscle. And as I'm continuing to hone my, you know, my craft, it just really sharpens my my skill set. So I'm thankful for that.
So how did everyone respond when you got the news? Season four, you know, and I was Googling, just doing some research, and one of the top questions, when does season 4 start? How did y'all respond?
It's crazy because I found out last night, and yesterday afternoon, actually, like 1 o'clock, as soon as it, you know, the news came out. And so it was like a combination. It was like, I'm talking with my team, and then the news is coming, you know. It was great and just really exciting, because one little fun fact, so I'm in Miami, you know, right now. And basically,
I wonder where that background was at.
I mean, you know, listen, if the waves are distracting you, I can turn my volume down. But no, so when I booked the show initially, I had flown out to Miami to visit with family and everything, and the deadline, like the post and everything, just came out like I was booked for the show. And then here we go, almost a year later.
Wow.
Where I'm coming into Miami again, and
season 4,
you know,
season 4.
You know, yes. And it was just like, boom, season 4. And I was like, wow, you know, I don't really believe in coincidences. And there were some other things too, you know, I'm not going to get in all of that. You can't get too private with it. But there were just all of these crazy, like, similarities that had happened. And I was just like, wow, you know, when it's meant, it's meant. And so, but to answer your question, the cast, everybody has just been really excited. We all been reaching out to each other, and I mean, it was season 3. it was a great season.
Yeah.
I really loved everybody's work, and I thought that, there were just so many different storylines, and, it was dope. So I'm not surprised.
Right.
I wasn't surprised that it was a season 4, but I was just like, okay, let's
that
go.
confirmation.
We got that check.
Right.
Yeah, we
exactly.
needed that. We needed
we
that.
Good. We good.
Exactly.
Well, congratulations again. Let's talk about Robin Hood.
Let's get it.
I want to say Robin Hood is your alter ego, no pun intended. But
that's right.
You are a very talented musician. We play your music on here all the time on our show. So you make very conscious music, and I was listening to some of alter ego, and you have a song there called Brother George, where you pay homage to the Black and brown people who've been killed as a result of police brutality. Talk about what was your inspiration behind this project?
Oh man, basically I was working on Richard II this summer. It was supposed to be at Shakespeare in the Park in New York, but due to Corona, we weren't able to do it in the park. Yeah. So we did a radio broadcast of it instead for WNYC. And basically, as we were going through the play, I play a character called Bolingbrook, and I'm on my journey throughout the play, and there's one moment in which I have a line where I say, "Mine innocence and St. George to thrive." And I say that line right before I'm about to have a fight with this other, gentleman. And so I'm calling his actions into question. Right. And I believe that he's been involved with my uncle's murder. So basically that line, I read that line and I immediately was inspired to write something about George Floyd. It just, again, like I said, I don't believe in coincidences. And it just came, literally, we started rehearsing Richard II, maybe like a day after George Floyd's murder, excuse me. Wow. So it was very, very, just the rehearsal space that we had, there was just a lot of just tension and we were on a Zoom and it was just like, whoa, this is crazy, but going back to that unrest, there was just a lot that was going on, in the country. And so a lot of people were just, we were stressed. We were excited to be working on this play, but at the same time, it was like, really, William Shakespeare, should we be doing this right now? Right. But anyway, I spoke that line and I immediately was like, wow, because the EP was finished. I was done.
Okay. Oh,
and that ended up being a bonus track because I just could not sit on it. I had to write something. And as you mentioned, my music focuses a little bit more on the conscious side. So, I feel as if I activate, through my artistry. And so in that way, it's activism. And so it's like, I can't just be silent. I have to speak on this. So for me, I went back to my homeboy, Easto, who produced the entire EP, like that beat Rolodex, and I was just, kind of scrolling through and he just had this really dope track that he had sent me. And it just immediately clicked, mine innocence and Brother George to thrive, mine innocence and Brother George to thrive, mine innocence and Brother George to thrive. Brianna, we gonna keep y'all alive. And so it just came like that to me. Like I didn't sit down and take my time to write it out. Like I read this line through Shakespeare and immediately, because of where we are right now within our culture, I immediately thought of George Floyd, and my character ends up being like, with the play starts out with a murder. As I mentioned, I'm calling into question this gentleman who I think has so it was just like, wow, there's just so many parallels and it just made so much sense to me. And it was like so relevant and prevalent at the same time. I had to, so that was the inspiration. It came from Richard II. So there we are. So and then I could not highlight all these other individuals. Excuse me.
Yeah, I loved how you said their names.
Exactly.
Saying the names. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Thank you.
So when what do you want the listener to take away when they finish listening to Alter Ego? What's their takeaway?
Ultimately, I want listeners to understand that, listen, number one, you have a choice, okay? Mm-hmm. As creatives, we do have a choice in terms of the type of work that we put out there, the type of material that we put out there. And so I would hope that we would not get so bogged down with other people's ideas and influences that we can't actually speak our truth. And so I think that, as artists, we have to kind of like say what the standards are going to be and not allow other people, to set their standards, for us. Throughout this EP, I'm having a conversation with a record label exec by the name of Mr. I Don't Care of Screw You Records. And this guy is just, there's these skits that happen. And so basically the skits precede every single song. And so we basically see or hear rather that I'm all these obstacles are being thrown at me, but I'm able to still navigate and make it my own. And so we have a variety in music. We hear sounds that we don't normally hear, from Robin Hood as this artist, and it's like, oh, wow, she's really switching it up here. And it's because, that's just the time that we're in. That's the energy that we're having right now that's permeating. And so I can do my own take on that, or I can say, okay, you know what, I have to do it exactly the way that they want me to, So, it was really fun. I got to do all the voices, throughout the EP. And I think ultimately too, I just, artists should walk away thinking, wow, I'm capable of so much more.
Right. Yeah.
Than, these small boxes that other individuals might try to put us in,
Yeah. No, definitely. Definitely. Miriam, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. I mean, your star is shining bright, and I'm so excited for you, everything you have going on. I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, honestly.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Most definitely. The album is Alter Ego, is available now. Go get it. You already know the shot comes on Showtime. Season 4 next year, hopefully, depending on the pandemic. But much success to you. And for more information about Miriam A. Hyman, go to our website, thestevenknightshow.com. We'll be right back after this.